Hi everyone, I'm going to introduce MobyMax to you. And if there's any questions that you have, feel free to email me or come stop by and talk to me. There's going to be a lot of stuff that I probably don't cover and you'll have questions on, so just let me know. So MobyMax is a free resource to educators for the most part. But if you click the Order Now, you can see the differences between the free and the pro version, and the pro version is only $99 for a full year. And in my experiences with it, multiple teachers would go in on one account and they could all use the same username and password as long as they had the same students. So say the 3 6th grade teachers could go in on this and all use it for their different subjects. And if you look here, you have a free trial. It looks like usually they're about a 30-day trial. But after that's up, you wouldn't have these options. And some of them that are nice are your progress monitoring, the IEPs, and the printable worksheets. But if you get the pro version, you have those. Also, I know the assessments would be important if you're going to use this for a lot of your curriculum. And that's a pro version as well. Also, MobyMax is linked strongly to Common Core. And if you look up here at these links, there's a bunch of information about MobyMax that you guys could look into. And it will work with the iPads as well as computers. So to sign in, you'll come up here to the top to the sign in, and then there's a place for students to sign in, just the different people. Students usually will have a screen that looks like this and they'll have to put in their school name, or you can give them a school code and it will go straight to their school. But as a teacher, you come here to sign in. And so here at the entry screen, you have all the different subjects that the students. I will say the social studies, I believe they only have 1st and 2nd grade for social studies, but all the other subjects it's K-8, and they are working on adding more to social studies. Then you have and also there's the test prep, which I thought was interesting. Then you have the classroom tools, so your roster, and the worksheets is important. Some of these others I haven't worked with. Messenger is a way to keep in touch with the students. Maybe they have a question while they're at home, they can message you. I haven't used the student response system, the wall, or the time before. And then you have the student motivation. The games is the big one. The students love to play the games. And they can earn game time from playing and from answering questions correctly and spending time answering questions. And down here at the bottom you have the dashboard with your statistics, and you can go through the different subjects to click on them. So if I click on science, you can see that I spent X amount of time answering questions, and you have different statistics. Okay, the first one I want to look at is the roster. And here is where you can add all your students. And like I said, only one person would need to do this, or each teacher could do their homeroom and add in their students. And all the teachers that would have those students could share that account. You can create groups. So here you can create a group where I have created, if you look down here at the bottom, a group called Test. So if I click on it, I've entered students into that group. So if there was group 6A, I could enter all the students that are in 6A into that group, so that way I could view just their information. And here's where you register a new student. So you can create a student ID, username, and password for them. And then this information in this box shows how your students sign in. And you can print a parent letter and login cards. So this is the parent letter to go home if you would like to. And again, you can select who you're printing for, so it would enter in the appropriate name or information. And the same with the login cards. This is what they would look like, but it would have that student's actual username and password in there based off of the appropriate student. And you could just hand these out to the students and they could keep them in their folders or wherever you want them to keep them, so that way they have easy access to how to log into MobyMax whenever you're going to use it. And then I also, and that's kind of all the information I have about the roster. If you have any questions, just let me know. To get back to that main screen, you always come up and hit the home button here. And then another part here with the classroom tools is the worksheets. These worksheets, I'll time out for a second. If you notice, some of these screens I've been to, so pop-up doesn't show up. But the first time you click on something, this little pop-up informational pop-up comes up, so that way it can help you with any of this information. And so you have different worksheets and the nice thing about these is they are printable, so you can print the worksheet. So math, I can go to grade 6. I can show standards or lessons. So if I wanted to show the standards, so then I just click over here, select, and I would print the worksheet. Okay, so now for the subjects. The main difference that I've noticed, and again I will tell you that I used MobyMax when I taught math, so most of my experiences with MobyMax are for math. And the nice thing about math is it does have a placement test. So if you'll see up here, there's a spot you can click on for placement, and you can see where the students placed after they took the test, and it's kind of at-level learning. So here, this person, it was at a 4.2 grade level. It shows the information that they mastered, each standard, did they master that standard or not, what standards they didn't master. And then most of the buttons you'll pick, most of the subjects will have the progress, the lessons, the assessments, the goals and IEP, and the library. Not all of them, but most of them have that. So I'm going to come out of here and show you the science. So you come to progress, and it shows you their ending grade level and their beginning grade level, so where they started and where they're at currently, if they've increased or decreased, what standards they passed. If you click on the student, it gets even more specific information from clicking on the student. And then you have progress reports to show you, their proficiency at each of the different standards. Then you can go to lessons, and lessons can be assigned. So after you click on the student, I'm going to show all students first. After you click on the student, you can then see how well they've done on certain lessons, and you can reassign lessons, or if you noticed from any tests that you've taken that they were behind in certain standards or topics, you can go and find that topic and you can assign that lesson. So if I wanted to assign student 2 a lesson about life on Earth, I would select, well, let's come down here to animals part 1. I would select that and I would assign, or I could see possibly from assessment that they've already mastered information about viruses, and so I would click on it and I could unassign the lesson because they do not need that. One thing that the science does not have is the assessments. So I will believe science, and I believe reading has it. Yes. So the reading assessments, if you click on it, you can assign tests, but the nice thing is that you can assign them based off of grade level. You can assign them a test by standard, by skill, or assign them a previous test that they've already taken and did not master. And so that's nice that those assessments can be, and they're made for you. You're not making the assessment. You're just saying what skills, what goals, what grade level of information do I want on my assessment for that student. The goals and IEP, they're very nice. The daily goals, you can set how many skills they have to pass, how many standards they have to pass per day that you would prefer. And then the IEP goals would be very nice. I haven't used the IEP goals. I want to try to see if that pop-up screen will come up for one of them. But you can set goals for students. And so we'll say we'll pick grade 6. And so you set a goal and what their proficiency is to keep an eye on their mastery of the different standards or goals that you have for them. And finally, the library is a place where you can see the content that they're learning. You can also get worksheets. It shows you what they're learning. For science, well, it's not working. There it goes. Okay, so then you could see the topic and see what the students would go through, what they would read, what questions they would answer as they were completing this lesson. And that's all in the library, so it's kind of like the teacher's edition section. And I've already talked to you about the games for motivation. So there's one last thing that I wanted to show you is in your settings, these 3 in the middle are important because you can kind of set some information for the students. One thing that I changed was the default passing score was at 70% and I changed it to 75. And then I also changed that the state standards for science were the next generation science standards, since that is what Illinois is going with. And then your modules, you can change. Students earn game time for however many minutes they work. You can up or you can increase or decrease that number. And some other information about how much students get. And the games are the big motivator for them to actually spend time working. And then the last one is what you want to hide from your students. So that first screen with the buttons that we saw, they see pretty much the same thing unless you've clicked on one of these for them to not be able to see. Now I've selected social studies because currently it only goes 1st and 2nd grade, and I didn't want my students getting confused and working on that currently, so they are not able to see the social studies button. But if some of these were too much of a distraction for your students, you could click on them and they would not see those buttons on their main screen. So again, this is MobyMax. And if you guys have any questions, feel free to email me or stop by and see me. I hope this wasn't too fast or too slow. So I will see you guys soon. Bye.